Welcome to the Bowel Chronicles, where we dive deep into the world of bowel health. I'm your host, Nikki Kilpatrick, and on this podcast we have raw and candid conversations with individuals facing various bowel conditions and illnesses. Through personal stories and shared experiences, we illuminate resilience and courage in the face of adversity. Be reminded that each story is personal and unique. These conversations are not to be taken as medical advice or to replace guidance from a doctor or healthcare provider. Our aim is to inspire and empower through these amazing stories, amplifying voices often unheard. So join us as we embark on this journey together. Sit back, listen, and be inspired. Enjoy the episode. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Bowel Chronicles. I'm your host, Nikki Kilpatrick, and today we are joined by the lovely Katie and her mummy, Kelly. Katie and Kelly, it's so good to have you here this evening, sharing your journey with us on the Bowel Chronicles. You're very welcome.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Katie, whereabouts in the UK do you live?
Well, Leeds.
Leeds?
We're in Leeds, West Yorkshire.
I was like,
Oh,
can we go?
I forgot to ask you that before we started recording because I always like to know where you are in the world. So Katie, you're just 8 years old and you have a stoma bag.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a little bit of your story is very similar to mine in that you have suffered with what we call slow colon transit. And basically your bowels don't really work very well. So you're 8 now. How long ago did you start having problems with your bowels, if you can remember?
Well, like when I started to be born, but on April 2nd it stopped, which is when I had my surgery.
Yeah. It's from
April
birth, isn't it?
2nd this year, 2024?
Yeah.
That's when she had her stoma.
Yeah.
But she's had problems all her life. So initially the doctors were a case of, it's probably an allergy. We'll go down the allergy route. Mm-hmm. She was put on dairy-free, gluten-free, with every free diet you could imagine, to the point it was, what can we actually feed this child? Mm-hmm. Then it was, maybe it's a secondary intolerance because they wouldn't show up on a blood test. Right. Then we got put into the community. Community said, she's beyond us. She needs to go to the hospital paediatricians. Mm-hmm. And it was just a very slow progress.
So, Kelly, can I ask, what exactly was happening? Was it a case of she was only going to the toilet pooping like once a month, once a week? Did she struggle?
Once a fortnight. She was on quadruple laxatives from being about 18 months old. So right. She was having a daily suppository. Mm-hmm. She was having concoctions of lactulose, sodium picosulfate, Mobcol, Senna, and she was getting the cramping and she was getting contraction-like pain, but nothing coming out of her still. We finally got to the point where she was admitted to hospital once a month for a peristeen washout, which by the end she was like, will you all keep away from my bum? It is my body, my choice, get off it.
I was.
You was. And then you had the NG tube, didn't you? Yeah. And we had a week every month in hospital for clean prep, where they said, it doesn't clear her out. Like, we know. Yeah. Why are we doing this? But we'd been given clean prep so many times. The gastro was like, I don't really want to put you to surgeons because they won't really be impressed with how much clean prep she's had. So it took a long, long time to get to where we needed to be. Yeah. But she was missing. You in school, you fell apart, didn't you? She got to, I think it was 60% attendance last year because her tummy was too distended. Yeah, she couldn't focus. She couldn't do much, could you really?
Yeah, to be honest, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I've no words to it.
You lost friendship groups, didn't you?
Yeah, my friends started some friendship groups and some ups, and I felt like I was missing out. But luckily they did, but I couldn't really talk on it, know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's really, really, really hard, Katie, because you feel so unwell and you know something is not right in your own body. and your tummy does start to swell. And I'm 45, and for the last 4 years before I had my stoma, I was having that peristeen. I was doing it myself every day, and it was the 2 hours sitting on the toilet, and it's really not nice. And I didn't get anywhere. It didn't help me pass anything. And it was exactly the same with the clean prep and Movicol and sodium picosulfate. And I think it just does you more damage in the long run because your bile can't work. There's no peristalsis to work in the bile. So whenever they obviously came to a decision then to do a stoma surgery, is it a colostomy stoma you have?
It is, isn't it, a colostomy? Yeah.
So it's in the large bile.
Yeah, we had the discussion as to whether, as the surgeon said, we can do a cicostomy or an ACE, or we can look at the ileostomy colostomy route. And it was a case of, what do you think? So I said to the surgeon, I said, how likely is it for the ACE to work or the cicostomy, considering you've said it's refractory constipation, no amount of medication is ever going to work. Will an ACE or cicostomy work? They said, probably not. So I was like, well, it's a colostomy then. It's an easy decision. And you asked, what did you ask for the surgeon to give you what? Body? What did you ask for?
What?
You wanted your body to have a little break, didn't you?
Yeah.
She said, my body just needs a break now. She said, my body's tired.
I forgot it was that long.
It seems a long time, doesn't it now?
Seems like 10 years ago.
Since you've had your stoma surgery, Katie, do you feel like your body's had a wee break?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Are
really
you able to go to school and have better attendance?
Yeah, I've been in like a lot now, to be honest. So I feel like I'm gonna get 100 fingers crossed.
Well, nearly. You've had a couple of days and that's about it. You're in a heck of a lot more, aren't you?
That's like
You've not had much time off, let's put it that way.
is it?
You're on 98% at the moment, so you're doing really well.
Amazing. I don't think I ever had 98% whenever.
She literally came out of hospital on the 8th of November, and on the 9th, she went to the theatre to watch a dance show. She was like, I'm ready.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. So from when they said they were going to do the colostomy surgery until you had it, how long did you have to wait?
They agreed to do the colostomy early January. On the 25th of March, we got a phone call from school saying, Kelly, she's really swollen, her eyes are sinking, rolling to the back of her head, come and get her. Went into school to collect her, phoned the surgeon, and the surgeon's secretary said, oh, it's going to be months away. Obviously, I was really disheartened at this point. The following morning, I got a phone call, we're going to do an acute admission, can you bring her in next Tuesday? They said, it does mean she won't get Easter, but I went, yes, forget Easter, we're there. So all in all, we waited, from January to April. But yeah, she went in. You went in the day after Easter Monday. You went in on the Tuesday.
No.
Yes.
No. I want
she likes to argue.
After April 1st.
Yes, which was Easter weekend.
So, Katie, did you understand? Did you know what you were going to have done in hospital?
Well, yeah, I did. We had a little word with, like the surgeon saying, what would you like to have for your surgery? So, like, they gave me, like, 2 drops to, like, a stomach, but I chose a stomach because obviously my body needed a break and it really hurted a lot when I puked from my bum, so I chose a stomach and it's like helped me a lot more. It did that.
And you looked at all your own leaflets, didn't you?
Yeah. Turns out I came in the Connect book.
Yeah, you was in the Connect magazine, but you also had a chat with school as well, didn't you, about it all?
Yeah.
As soon as they told us what it was going, the first thing she did is went to talk to school about it.
Okay, so school are really on board with it, and they give you some help and are quite interested in your life with the stoma, aren't they? Yeah. Which really helps, because I think even as an adult, sometimes you can feel very lonely and that people don't understand. And I think it's really important because you're so young, that your friends and your peers get to understand a little bit of what is going on with you and that you're normal. and you can do all those normal things, that the kids do. So, when you woke up out of surgery, what
Yeah.
did that feel like? I know it was probably a little sore after having your surgery, but whenever you got through that, what was it like?
Well, the first thing you did is when she woke up, she said, "Someone stole me knickers, Mum," because she'd had a catheter in. It was like, that was never the first words I expected to come from you after surgery.
When I saw you.
Yeah.
No, my first words, but I said, but when I
that was
did
second.
it,
Go on.
yeah. I actually don't want my second.
Well, yeah, you asked for your mum first.
My first word was, "Could I please go see my mum?"
Yeah, after that, the first words you said to me were, "They've stole your knickers." And then asked, "Can we go to that concert next week, Mum?" It was like, wow. She'd had a local anaesthetic ball, which they realised wasn't actually working or doing anything for her. Her cannula had failed in her hand, so the morphine that was in wasn't actually going in. So everything she was doing without pain relief, and she didn't even realise it. So she'd had the surgery on the Tuesday. By Wednesday morning, they took the cannula out, and she went, "Can I go for a walk now, please?" So it hurt her getting up. Once she was up,
I did go without walking.
you did. You managed, didn't you?
Walking, I was like this.
Yes, you did walk a little bit bent.
Yeah,
but yeah, she was determined. She had a focus of, "I want to go to a show next week." And once Kate gets her mindset on something, we go in that way. We'd come out of hospital. It was obviously the Easter holidays. The first day school was back. "Can I go and see my friends, please?" So obviously she wasn't allowed back in school, but you went in to visit everybody, didn't you?
Yeah. I think probably because you had been in so much pain, Katie, that even though you'd had the pain of surgery, it was probably a lot less than what you were living with every single day, before you had your stoma. Yeah.
You've
So
said that before, haven't you?
you're very determined and you were very brave and very driven to be back on your feet and to be having a better life, I think. Yeah. Your stoma has a very interesting name. What did you call it? What did you name your stoma?
Diamond.
Diamond. Why did you choose the name Diamond?
Well, I love diamonds and
Don't we all?
and let me say it.
Go on.
2 songs. Shine bright like a diamond.
Huh?
And Diamonds Are Gold's best friend. Love
them. Yeah. The first one wouldn't be my favourite song. And that's only because I think when my 2 girls were growing up, they used to sing it and they used to sing it with a bit of an accent, so it drove me crazy. Definitely. Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, yeah. So tell me some fun things about yourself now that you've had your stoma and you're doing better after surgery. What do you like to do? What are some of the things you get to do now that you couldn't do before?
Well, I get to play like lots of stuff with my friends more. I get to go to the park to see my friends. And I get to do like fun activities. I get to like go train my friends, some stuff, get to go play with my friends, and I get to do lots of fun stuff with my friends, and I get to colour a lot. Well, I could be colouring in the hospital, but not much. Yeah. And I can play, not much.
Yeah, everything.
That was about play, wasn't it?
It was. Everything took it out of you before, didn't it? Yeah. But, just Katie loves concerts. This is a child, her first concert was going to see Madness. But it was one of those where just to take her to that one concert, it'd knock her out of action then for the next 3 or 4 days. Yeah. So she'd either have to have a couple of days rest first, or we knew it was going to have that knock-on effect straight afterwards. So just being able to go to a concert, going to Blackpool last weekend, she managed to walk the Golden Mile. She's never done that before. It's always been a case of piggybacks, carrying her, jumping on trams. But for her to actually do it, she was like, "Oh my God, Mum, I did it." And it was just that, seeing the achievement, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Get hands out.
There was something funny I was trying to do.
You're probably determined to do a lot more now than you were beforehand, to give you a new lease of life. What about when it comes to doing things like a bag change, Katie? How do you do that? Does mum help you?
Well,
Um,
it it does help me, but I had a little problem.
Oh, Katie's got a mucus fistula, and we occasionally
Not that problem.
oh, woman, but a fistula is literally a centimetre or two away from the stoma. Is it back?
Mhm.
So where it's positioned, we find that it's caused a little bit of an issue with her. But you do
Yeah.
all your own bag changes, don't you?
Yeah, but the problem is I get sore a lot.
You do get sore sometimes, but that's because when the fistula's going, we've obviously got to do more bag changes. The more bag changes we do, because she's in a two-piece system, it's covering more of the skin than a one-piece would,
Mhm.
and we're constant bag changes. But at school, what you like at school with bags?
I have like a teacher and it might not happen on some of these interviews, but just want to say a big shout out to Miss Witt and Mrs. Haw who always does my bag changes because it's not the cleanest job, but they never moan about it, don't they?
No,
Oh,
to just jump straight in, and you do it now, but they just support, don't they, if you need any
Yeah.
help.
you're melting my heart, girl. You really are. That's amazing that you've got such cool teachers that just do that for you. Not every school is in a position to offer that or give that help and support. So I think you've done really well. So yeah, big shout out to your teachers, which is amazing. How often do you have to do a bag change? Is it once a day, twice a day?
Like 3 times a day and sometimes two.
Mhm. Yeah. I have an ileostomy, so it's a wee bit different. Mine's always filling up, but mine's a lot easier to kind of empty than yours
Mm.
as well.
Yeah, we found that with Katie's, because she has a two-piece system, because in Leeds,
Yeah.
they like all children to have a two-piece,
Yeah.
which, fair enough. But Katie uses a particular bag brand, and the bag she uses, the base plate is much bigger for the two-piece than it is for the one.
Yeah.
And it covers more of her body, and then we find that where the fistula is, because that's constantly got a dressing on, if that's leaking its mucus, it's lifting her bag off. So the more that's lifting her bag, the more bag changes we're having to do, and we're having to do a full change rather than just being able to do a partial change. So, there was one point last month, and I think we did 18 bag changes in a day because the fistula was so active. You went and had irrigation, didn't you, of your fistula at that point? But yeah.
So Kelly, what's it like as a mummy? She's obviously been living with this problem from she was born. Was it instantly, instant when she was born? Was there a problem with her bowels, or was it a while? I know some babies are tested for Hirschsprung's disease to see if that's a thing.
Yeah,
Or
she was tested at 3 years old. So when Katie was born, it's really bizarre one, this one. Katie was born on the 6th of August, um, which was a Saturday at the time. And so she was born at 3:30 in the afternoon. And the nurses came round, or the midwives rather, came round and said, look, we know that she's just been born. She's your third child. Now, you can either go now, leave the hospital. We get she's only a couple of hours old. But if you stay beyond this time, you're going to be in all weekend because it's Leeds Pride event, and you're not getting anywhere out of Leeds on Pride weekend. So at that point, it was right. They said she passed meconium as she was being birthed. We're happy with that. So I said, fine, we'll go home. The midwife came on the Sunday morning and went, has she passed anything else? I said, no. Oh, I'll check in on Monday. Has she passed anything? No. And then before she went to the toilet again, she was 5 days old. And there was trying all the old tricks of, can you put a little bit of soap in the bottom of a bottom? Can you try a little bit of brown sugar in water? We get that she's only a baby. Can you change her formula? And nothing would make her go. And then I think she got to about 3 or 4 months old before they said, right, let's go down the allergy testing routes. That went on for much longer than it should have done. And at 3 years old, she had a manual evacuation and also rectal biopsies then,
Traumatized by this.
looking at the Hirschsprungs, but that came back negative.
Right.
But at that point, the surgeon who did the biopsies said, the problem is, he said, when we went into Katie's bottom to do the evacuation, he said, I could feel her bladder. He said, and that's not normal. Can you take her for a bladder scan? At which point we established, or they believe, her bladder could be a little bit too large. So it was that, then it was a constant, is it a bladder? Is it a bowel? Is it something else? Mm-hmm. And we went round in circles with that one as well, which didn't really help.
And can I ask, is a bladder okay? Has it all been bowel related?
We're still under urology. Our last appointment was post-stoma, at which point urology said, if we'd have known she was having surgery, we'd have come and had a nosy around. And I said, well, we did actually phone the secretary and tell her. Obviously, the messages didn't go on. But it is a case where you're still under Mr. Turner, aren't you, for urology? And he's lovely. He is a really nice surgeon. But it's the ongoing, what is it? Because Katie doesn't know when she needs to wee. It is a constant reminder. She can drink and drink and drink for England. And
no sensation.
She doesn't, no sensation. But then as soon as you sit her on the toilet, she will wee. Mm-hmm. But then as soon as she gets up, she wets. And it's like, oh, back to the toilet.
Yeah.
And she can go 3 times in a row if you sit her on the toilet. But she doesn't actually know she needs to go until she's either going or been reminded.
Okay. And with that then, Katie, do you get an infection? Because stopping and starting, would that bother you?
Yeah.
It stings a bit, doesn't it, sometimes? But we'd established that antibiotics don't really work with Katie. So it's that, let it get itself better, let it sort itself out.
Yeah. Just keep hassling urology to get it sorted, because long term it's never good. Yeah.
Yeah, so
as you say, one doesn't work without the other one working properly. So when the bowel's not working properly, the bladder doesn't like it, and the bladder's not working properly, the bowel doesn't like it.
Yeah, at one point they even said, maybe it's because she's hypermobile. Like, pardon? Maybe hypermobility is stretched to the bowel and bladder, and it was like, I've heard it all now. She's got an hypermobile bowel. But it's, I think, the clutching at straws for what can we find that there is. They'd seen that they tried increase the speed of clean prep, instead of doing 8 litres every time. Oh, let's do it in 3 litre bursts, get her to 9 litres. And it was a case of all you're doing is giving her more cramps. The more that they was putting, because obviously it was through the NG, the more clean prep they was putting through the NG, it was just coming straight back out of her mouth. And it's a case of, is he not telling you anything yet? We was told maybe she just needs such and such in a diet. And I'd say, but the more fruit and vegetables she's eating, the more she's distending. Mm-hmm. Oh, it can't be like that. So at that point, I bought the biggest basket of fruit, and I said to the gastro, I said, what fruit would you like her to eat? And we will show you the impact. So he'd picked a portion, she ate it, and within a couple of hours, her stomach was slowly distending. And he said, oh. I said, exactly. Mm-hmm. I said, we've got a massive family history of IBD. I said, namely Crohn's disease. Mm-hmm. I said, it's on my parents' side. I said, my brother. I said, cousins. It's massive. Katie's half sister, she's IBS, IBD. And I said, it's, rife within our family. I said, so it is something that could be there, at which point it was very much a case of Katie's so young. It's too young to test. It's too young to medicate.
So they've never done like a fecal calprotectin test on her to see?
They did one, and it was borderline, at which point was told they're not really accurate anyway in a child. So it's a little bit pointless. I think that took about 8 weeks in total. So it was one of those that had been forgotten about. We did multiple 6 marker tests. And every time they all just laid in the exact same position. You could see which order we'd taken, the shapes of markers in. And one of the times they actually did it in hospital whilst she was on clean prep. And this was actually the first time. And the gastro said, I didn't expect that result. I said, well, no, because you're not meant to have laxatives while you're taking the marker tests, are you? Yeah. He said, exactly. He said, but they're still staying. Yeah. And I said, well, they will do. It doesn't move on this area.
Yeah, I can put my finger exactly on the place that my problem is. Mm-hmm. And if your pain's all in one area, Katie, you maybe know exactly where your problem was. And my bowel, rather than it being, thin, which is probably the same case as yours, when it stops functioning, it starts to stretch because there's so much in it. And it fills up like a big, massive balloon. It just stretches. So your markers will all sit there with your fluid and your clean prep and your laxatives, and they won't travel anywhere because there's no peristalsis to push it through the rest of your bowel to go anywhere. Because the bowel, once it stretches so wide, it can't retract again. It can't go back for peristalsis, for the muscles to work to send it through the rest of your bowel for you to poop. It just stops and it becomes dead, so to speak. So my markers sat in the exact same place with oh, got a bit of PTSD talking about clean prep because it's every day of my life. But it's horrendous stuff to be going through. And I'm sure, Kelly, as a mummy, you just felt so helpless doing this and feeding her all these laxatives and regimes to not get anywhere.
Yeah, and I think you get that element of mum guilt because you're leaving your other two children at home and everything's about where they are older than Katie, where they're 15, 17 now. But by the same token, you're still leaving two other children at home.
Surprised I'm not the biggest type.
So, she's the most grown up one, mind, but it is that constant.
True.
Right, we're just leaving you again. And then in Leeds, I know all hospitals are different, but in Leeds, obviously, parents don't get fed. So it's that relying on family to bring something in because while she's hooked up to her, her feeding pump to feed all the medicine in, right, I can't leave her because the machine's jamming every 2 minutes, the machine's stopping. What am I going to do? And then it's literally flying out every now and again, on a Saturday. Saturdays were the best day of the week because they've got a charity who comes in memory of their their young lady, providing pizza for all the parents on certain wards. The Millie Wright Foundation are absolutely wonderful. They provide a hot meal on a Saturday and they fill the parent rooms of selected wards with snacks, whether it be crisps, little porridge pots. So that was a lifeline when you couldn't get out of the ward or you couldn't get anyone to come in and bring something in. And I think that was probably the hardest thing, wasn't it? When you was there.
So, Kelly, then whenever she wakens up and you hear, well, initially she's going to have a stoma, this is going to be the right thing for her. I'm sure even there was a wee bit of turmoil there in your head, like, why is she having to have surgery? Why has it been this length of time? And did you have any knowledge of stomas? Did you know what they were? Did you know anyone with it? And because all of a sudden here you are with your 8-year-old who is about to have a stoma surgery.
I'd literally thought about what else can we do, but we'd had an incident where the community nursing team who was looking after her with the tube came out to do a peristeen washout. She was laid on the floor saying, please don't touch me, please don't touch me. I don't want anyone's hands near my bottom. Please help me. Somebody, mummy, if you love me, help me. At which point, obviously, I'd held her. The nurse was close to tears herself and she said, Kelly, I can't do it. I said, I don't want you to do it. And she said, this girl will end up with surgery. And I said, I know. I said, but it's getting somebody to listen. And by this point, we'd been through so much. It was a case of, we will take absolutely anything. And as soon as they said stoma, as much as people said, don't Google, you look at the likes of Colostomy UK, and I spent so long on the phone to the likes of Colostomy UK. One or two of the suppliers I phoned up and I was questioning, look, can you tell me this, that, and the other about stoma care? Can you tell me how successful they are, what the risks are? And it was trying to build as much information because I'm a big believer in it's all well and good having an appointment with a bowel nurse or with a surgeon, but why go into it if you don't know what to ask?
Yeah.
And the more information I could find out about it first, the more I could arm myself with questions, yes. Oh, will it be an ileostomy or will it be a colostomy? Would it be loop? Would it be, end? How would you work it? And that enabled me to go in. You even read all the books, didn't you? And the little leaflets and had a look. And when we met the bowel nurse, she actually showed us a photo and said, would you want one of these, Katie? And showing us photos of loads of stomas. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a scare tactic, but she really isn't bothered. She's up for this. and you went straight in, didn't you? And, you know, my first thing was, it can't make her quality of life any worse. It can only ever improve it. And it was a no-brainer. It was an easy decision for me to make.
So is your stoma, is it permanent? Or can it be reversed?
Oh, well, when we left the hospital, we were told we'll have a review in 3 months.
True.
Brilliant. That was in April. We don't know yet. We've had nothing. We've had a couple of appointments cancelled. We've got another appointment coming up, I think 30th of December, by telephone. So if that one goes ahead, we'll know a little bit more.
Mhm.
But our argument is, they've said it's refractory. They've said it's not really going to work about anyway. So what would be the point in reversing it when she's a different child? She really is just different, aren't you, down with it all?
To give you
Can't
back
be
your life,
afraid
hasn't
to
it, Katie? Yeah. Mine is reversible, but I'm like, I've already told them I'm keeping it.
Yeah. They said the only difference is the Barbie bump. They said unless your bottom's sewn up, it's always going to be reversible. You know, initially they said we'll do a loop because it's easier to reverse. But then when he got in there, he went for an end colostomy with a fistula.
Yeah.
And the nurse was like, never saw fistula coming. And I was like, no, I didn't even know what one was until, you know, you said she's got 2 stomas. And at that point I was like, what? You know, that bit did confuse me. But I think for me, one of my first concerns or worries was seeing it for the first time. And I've said that to you, haven't I, before?
Yeah, I remember.
They said you might come out with a clear bag.
I remember when we was reading the book about Carlos and that storm. I forgot his name, and
yeah.
Oh, I remember when they saw the fish, he was like, oh, this Amanda was like, oh, I'd be terrified.
We saw some stoma, and it was a case of, as soon as you Google stoma online, it brings up so many photos, and some of them, it can be a little bit intimidating and a little bit scary to look at. And you'd read a few books, and we'd got the Botany Bear book, we got about a colostomy for children book, which now lives in the school library. And it was that case of, let's have a look and see what we can know about everything. But when I saw it for the first time, I literally looked and went, is that it? It is so tiny. I was like, wow. And I obviously didn't know what to expect. I'd never seen a stoma. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, easy, we're on this. We can do it. And then obviously they shrink anyway after surgery. But yeah, Kate is literally, it's perfect 20 on the base plate. It's the tiniest little thing ever. It's like, wow, I'm really impressed.
Cute. A cute little diamond, Katie. Yeah.
Yep.
To show that you're a little superhero. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you seem to be managing really, really well, which is amazing. Is there anything else you want to kind of share with us today, Katie, or tell us about?
What's your one bugbear?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Oh, toilets.
Toilets. We're going to talk about disabled toilets, just toilets in general.
Yes.
Toilets when you have a chronic illness, you've got a disability.
If anyone like builds toilets or like makes toilets different for disabilities, please sort of complain. Go for colour mode.
What do you want? What do you want out of a toilet?
All I want is a shelf to put my stuff and a mirror.
A shelf and a mirror. That's all you want, isn't it?
And a little thing to hang my stuff on.
Yeah. So a stoma-friendly toilet where we can go in and do a bag empty, we can do a bag change, you can set your stuff out. So we need a shelf and a mirror, as well as having a sink that's accessible for everyone in the toilet.
We had a moment in the local museum, and they've changed all of the toilets, so it's unisex toilets. Not everyone wants to use the unisex toilet, which, you know, it's a preference for everyone and anyone. And we'd had a lady who said, you know, it's not the best time for me to use a unisex toilet. I'd rather go to the disabled one. And we found that we couldn't find any toilets within the museum that we could access because they was all being used. And then when we finally did find one, it was the tiniest little block with nowhere to put her bags unless it was on the floor. And obviously it had a lot of footfall in the bathroom. It was a wet weekend. So Katie went home, and the following day she went back to the museum with Colostomy UK stoma-friendly toilet leaflets. And you asked for who? Who did you ask for? You asked to speak to the manager, didn't you?
Yeah.
And what did you tell the manager? Can you remember? You told them the toilet wasn't stoma friendly and what adjustments you needed, didn't you? And then she gave them all the leaflets and went, read that, and if you've got any problems, please phone Colostomy UK and they can inform you how to make this more stoma friendly.
Good girl.
Even like you've probably seen the video on her Instagram about the toilet in the hospital that didn't have anything. And she will regularly talk about toilets. She's got a thing at the moment about wearing her poo costume, haven't you, like Beth?
I'll go grab it.
Yes.
You've got. But yeah, we spoke to Beth, obviously Paloma the stoma, a lot of times. And at that point, she was like, I love that she dances as poo and she's not even embarrassed.
Exactly.
And she'd prepared when she went back to school before she actually, transitioned back in. She prepared a PowerPoint to share with the class and then went around different classes in school, sharing this PowerPoint, explaining what a stoma was, how it works, what it's done for her life. And it's made, that impact for the children as well at school that actually, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Hello.
Look at you, the little mini Beth. I'm getting all emotional. Oh my goodness, my hormones must be all over the place. Look at you, wee cutie pie.
Thank you.
For our listeners, watchers, viewers today, Katie's Instagram handle is at Katie's Stoma Journey on Instagram. You will regularly see her dancing around in her little poo costume, which one of her other stoma or osto buddy, we'll call her, does on her social media. I think it's so good, Katie. You're an absolute superstar. And your mum is just telling me here about you putting your PowerPoint presentation together to go back to school to explain to your class and other classes what a stoma is.
Yes.
Honestly, you are absolutely amazing. I don't think I would know another 8-year-old who would be as brave as you are. I don't even know if I could do that myself.
I can share my PowerPoint.
You can share your PowerPoint.
Send it over, can't you?
I can send it over.
But yeah, the first thing she said when she went to the head, when we found out, I said to the head teacher, Katie is going to get a stoma. And the head teacher went, right, point me in the direction. Who do I contact first? Let's get it sorted. And it was like, wow. And her school, they literally couldn't have done any more on any of this journey for her. They know her inside out. They put everything and anything they can in place for her. We've got a communication book for if she needs any supplies sending in. And she's got the best relationships with the members of staff, where one of them, what do you, Miss Hall, talk about when you do your bag changes? What TV programme? Miranda. She's obsessed with Miranda Hart.
Yes, I've seen that on your social media. You love Miranda Hart and you're everywhere with her books, lifting them and putting them to the front of the shelves.
It was a case of, on the hospital TV is so limited, and it's like, oh, I used to love Miranda. I'll sit and watch that on a night time when she goes to sleep. And then she'd often wake up, cuddle up to me, and we'd watch Miranda together. And then she absolutely loves Sarah Hadland, who you met recently, who's in Miranda, and she's literally got so much confidence now. Every bit of confidence that she had as she was younger has returned. She's gone from wanting to wear clothes that were 3-4 times too big for her to cover a distended tummy up for comfort, to literally going back to your crop tops, your sparkly outfits, haven't you?
Yeah.
And Diamond is always out and proud for everybody to see. If she heard discrimination, initially I was like, do I bite my tongue because I don't want to upset Katie? But you say your own piece, don't you, if anyone says anything about your bag?
Yes.
She will be out there and speaking.
Okay.
She had it in.
I can piece my mind.
Oh, they did. Ironically, she got they have a hot chocolate Friday at school where someone who's done something over and above gets hot chocolate with the head from each class. And she actually got it for her work on discrimination. And you've taken on an ambassador role at school, haven't you?
Yeah, well, being ambassador, but I got it because I went to go to the whole school about it.
So she's been travelling around other schools talking about well-being and ways to look after your own well-being and how not to be ashamed or embarrassed by things, which is something that Katie isn't bothered by. Some children would be mortified if they passed wind in class. Katie just laughs it off.
Yeah, it's such a good way to be, Katie, because people can go through their life and into their 20s and 30s and have these problems and these issues with their bodies and how their appearance is and what people think of them. And you're starting off very young with a great attitude towards all that, and it's going to stand by you. You're made of strong stuff. You are honestly, you're so brave. You're a really brave girl. Yeah. Keep up with the amazing work and being a wellness ambassador. That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I think it's a title that you deserve. You've earned it. You've worked hard for it. And you share everything on your social media, which is amazing because you're raising awareness for other people, for other kids. And you're not just helping kids, you're helping people like me. Whenever I see you having a dance there and doing all the things that you do, you encourage, other people with stomas and bowel problems doing what you do. So keep up the good work, kid.
Yeah. We had an ostomy party at the hospital and, we met another ostomate there. Mm-hmm. And he, again, another lovely support network, the stoma guy, Kev, he's absolutely fantastic. He's been fantastic, hasn't he, talking back and forth to you and, anything there, he's lived so much of it and he's just been another one who's just been absolutely fantastic, and it's a community that we never expected to be a part of, but it's such a wonderful community of everybody who is actually prepared to step in and offer the advice and, give what's needed, which is so lovely.
I keep saying it, the bowel community or stoma community is a large community, but it's really personal. It's family. Everybody knows everybody, and we all get each other. We all can relate to what life's like. Although all our journeys are different, we can all relate and understand each other, and everyone is out there to help each other, which is really, really special and really, really important.
100%. And it's Kim and Jessica was there before she had the surgery. Kim was more than prepared to answer so many questions, bless her. And several other ostomates were always at the other end of those messages, and we've always said, I've said it to Katie says it to other people now, there is no such thing as a stupid question. If it's in your head, it's better to ask it. Oh, Diamond's it's better to ask a question than to hold it in and not know the answer. Google doesn't know everything. Right. And there's always somebody at the end of a Facebook group, an Instagram page that can give those answers. So, we will ask questions, won't we, if we need to.
So, Katie, just before we finish, if there was another little Katie listening today who was having sore tummies, not able to poop, and going through all the stuff that you've gone through, and now that you've had a stoma, what would you tell them? What would be, I call it a little golden nugget, a little good piece of information.
What I'd say is that I felt your pain, and I know there can be something that can help you, and I believe that you can get better, and I hope you get better soon with it and get something to help you from stopping it.
And do you think they should be afraid of a stoma or afraid of surgery? Or
No, I don't think being afraid of surgery or stoma isn't to be afraid of, because when I was doing it, I was actually kind of chill and calm about it. Distracted, saying, "Well, I can't sleep. You're not going to get me to sleep." 5 seconds later,
she went under anaesthetic and she was saying, "I don't sleep." Well, then what did you say?
I was under the deck, and then they put the cannula in, and they put like, you know, that special cream where
The Elmer cream.
the Elmer cream where they, like, put it on so you don't feel the pain.
Mm-hmm.
That when I did thingy, they put it on. So then when they did, they put it on in my cannula, and then they put like a milk to make me go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that to me, and they said, "Well, I'm not gonna go to sleep." I never fall asleep. 5 seconds later,
She was adamant she wouldn't be knocked out because she'd had the gastro previously had given her chloral to sedate her, and then when he'd given her the chloral, he said, "We're going to do an enema," and at that point, "You're not doing an enema on me. I don't care what medication you've given me.
You might never give me anything."
She was adamant. It was like, you can't sedate Katie and say the word enema because it won't work. So she'd been through multiple times where chloral and other sedatives hadn't worked on her, so she assumed the anaesthetic would be exactly the same, and obviously that's totally different. It knocks you out cold. So she was genuinely so certain she'd be watching her stoma surgery. Obviously you was out, wasn't you?
I always get really determined. They have always said to me, count back from 10. And every time I get ready, I'm like, I'm going to get to 6. I'm going to get to 6. I'm like, 10, 9, 8. And I always waking up going, I got to 8.
Yeah. I need to get lower. I need to get lower.
I'm going to do this.
But yeah, you won't get lower, will you, than that, hopefully. But hopefully it'll be a long time before another surgery. But yeah, I'd say to anyone going forward, having a stoma for her was the best thing I ever did. You know, as a parent, I was like, am I going to leave her body with scars that she's going to hate me for later? But honest to God, it is the best thing we've ever done. It's given our girl back 100%. I think the hardest part was, you know, one parent waiting while your child's down in surgery. So having that wait on your own, go and have a nap or get something to eat. I can't. My child's in surgery. I can't nap and eat and whatever else. We didn't have a ward at the time. It was, there will be a bed prepared. They just need to move somebody from HDU. So it was, I'm just walking up and down the hospital corridor waiting for anything. So yeah, it was the longest 5 hours of my life, but also the end result was the best. And as Katie always tells other people, life doesn't sparkle unless you do. And, you know...
Yeah. Shimmer and shine.
Shimmer and shine, yep. Everything's about sparkle, isn't it?
Yeah, I meant to call it.
Yeah. But everything is about sparkling and living a life to the fullest.
Shimmer and shine.
Yeah. So the next adventure is going to see Wet, Wet, Wet and Heather Small, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
I got tickets.
I've seen Heather Small in concert. I've not seen Wet, 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 but Heather Small, yeah, she's amazing.
But she's not bothered about Wet, Wet, Wet. No. What is it you want to go for? What song? That is what she wants Heather for.
Superstar in the making. Yeah. Katie, what do you want to be when you grow up?
An actress.
I thought that was coming.
Yeah, as she said at school, it's not what I want to be, it's what I will be.
Yeah.
My daughter is an actress, an actor, singer, dancer.
Oh, wow.
She's in her final year at musical theatre university.
Amazing.
And you just remind me so much of her, and I knew that was going to be your answer right from the start.
Yeah. She even went down the route of you get these pop-ups on Facebook and Instagram applying to her own theatre schools, and I'm like, why am I getting these phone calls for? Linked up, haven't you, to these acting clubs and all sorts of different things, and it's a case of I will be an actress. It's got her even reading more at school, because she's like, I need to read to learn my lines. I need maths to know how much money I'm having in bank. I don't need a man because I'm having loads of money myself. Yeah. So she's moving into a mansion with... Thank me. Yeah, you want to thank you.
If you believe it, you can achieve it, Katie.
100%. But yeah, she's moving into a mansion with 20 Pomeranians when she's older.
Okay. I'm obsessed with Pomeranians. You cannot believe... I mean, you cannot believe... You can
not imagine.
Not imagine. And
Well,
you can't plan
Kitty,
it.
it's been amazing having you on the show today and sharing your story with us. So thank you very much. And I will remind our audience that her Instagram handle will be posted in the notes below. So go give her a like, give her a follow. If you've got any questions or you are a mum of someone who is on a similar journey to what Katie was and Kelly was, do pop them a question over a wee message and ask them. I'm sure they will get back to you. Katie, I have one important question to ask you before we finish, because I'm sure this is how we started our show, and our audience will want to know, did you get your knickers back? Did you find them?
In a bag.
In a bag.
Can you remember why they took your knickers off you? What did they do? For a catheter.
The very next day. The very next day.
Yeah, she said, after the catheter, she went, you need to take this away from me. And as soon as they started, she screamed to the point all the nurses ran in as she was pulling this catheter out. And they said, I don't actually know why I screamed, because it doesn't even hurt me. It was dumb, but yeah. You got your knickers, didn't you?
Yeah, good job. Right, well, thank you so much, ladies, for joining us today and taking your time. Everyone, that is us for today. So it's over and out from Katie and Kelly and myself. Do come back to join us next week for another episode.
We will.
Goodbye. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
You're welcome.